Hi, one of the queries I do get from my students is often they see these kernel modules and they get confused how I can make it a part of Linux kernel source and stuff like that. See, they are not asking about pushing to the mainline and sending to the gatekeepers and stuff. They are asking a very simple question. We write a kernel module, but in the kernel source there are already several kernel modules. Say same way how I can make it a part of kernel. Since many of my students have asked, in fact I do cover this quite extensively, but I thought let me make a small fragment of it and make a video episode so that it just not only going to help my students in case they get this FAQ. Of course I may show some more aspects plus may suggest this video, but any viewer can also watch this and perhaps can learn something out of it. See, we quickly dive into the topic. See, you go to the kernel source. See, I do get some question once again. See, when I show the kernel source, I show this way, but trust me, you can download the kernel source and in this way, or if you use a Raspberry Pi, you get the Git checkout from the link given by Raspberry Pi, or you can anyway get through apt command as well. So same way you can see there, this is my kernel source over here. This is a Ubuntu kernel source. Whichever way you get it is fine, but this tool is quite easy to navigate. So in my videos I generally use this bootling link so that it is quite easy to navigate and go into a section which we are interested. You can see there, for instance, we can go to the drivers. Usually kernel modules are mostly in the part of drivers. The other places it depends, it may be well integrated within the kernel or stuff like that. So we can go to drivers, or let me keep this away and otherwise we can go to this driver and we can pick any random driver. See, we have this I2C and we pick some random driver and we should able to find the module init and stuff. Or otherwise let me go to my own driver, which is the network driver. So let's go inside the net folder. Yes, so net ethernet, and you can open any driver. So as I again open often, I can open this Intel and we open this driver. See, we have this module module init. You can see there is a module init and a module exit. So this is one driver which is in the form of kernel module. Same way you can go to any of these folders. So each folder again it may have its own you can see there E1000 main. Hopefully we should able to find the module init in this file. Okay, so we search and we see here you have this module init, and this is the API which is is a module init is registered over here. So like this you have various modules, and what happens is you have this kconfig and make file inside each of these folders. See, you can see there inside the Intel you have this kconfig and make file. If I talk about these two, perhaps I may need almost a 2-hour session like I typically discuss with my student. So I don't want to much go in depth. I just want to give some few glimpses which is kind of suitable for a my typical 20-minute video like this. Okay, so you can see that we have this kconfig and make menu file. See, anytime you do this make menu config, what happens is this interface I need to install this sudo insmod. This is a newly installed Ubuntu OS on a different hard drive. So this is not my regular PC hard drive. So it is asking sudo apt install. Let me do that quickly, and after that we can able to do make menu config. Okay, so when you do that make menu config, I'm not saying make, I'm saying make menu config. You need all the stuff set in kconfig. So if it is set in kconfig, that is what actually make menu config shows it interactively. So you can select and you can disable whichever things or kernel features or kernel modules you want. And once it is all done, you can save that config file, and then you can start doing a make. So when you do make, you need this make file. When you do menu config or kconfig or xconfig or anything like that, then you need this, kconfig. So let's try this make menu config. You see there, now it works fine. And we go inside, and what happens is you can select any modules you want. See, when you do this make menu config, it uses this ncurses interface. You can see this blue screen. So this is one of the dependency. This is the reason when you want to compile Linux kernel, you need to install all this needed dependencies. Okay, I do again get to this query from my students, or even viewers actually. So you can see there I have added my own stuff, and you can see there it shows the kernel, the Linux channel and stuff. So which means I have done some custom kconfig and make file so that it supports this. See, let's just go inside anywhere, we discussed drivers. We can go to network device support, and we jump onto this Ethernet. It is over here, Ethernet driver support. Like we seen earlier, if you go to that Intel drivers, you can see there Intel devices E1000. So when you go for help, okay, H, you see there it shows help. I'm sorry, I clicked wrong one. Let's go here, and we click help. You can see there it shows all that help. See, whatever this is coming, also the entire make menu config, it is coming, whatever is set in this kconfig. So in that way, if you go to this E1000, you should find a make file, and before that you should find the kconfig should include that E1000 over here. See there, it includes, and it has a small documentation, and it says it is a tri-state. So which means it will show the typical star or asterisk as some call, and as M, which means it will be staying as a module and stuff. Once again, I'm saying I don't want to go in depth. It itself takes a long time to understand. So anyway, you can see there, so it's a tri-state, so which means you can toggle 3 states, space, it will show star, space, it will show nothing, which means it is disabled, space, it will show module and stuff. So this is a module written like any kernel module. Okay, I mean to say, you search in online, writing kernel module. Yes, you search online and you will be getting any typical example. So same way, even it is a module which is quite elaborate, it's a big module. Okay, so any such examples you see here. Let's open something which opens. See there, any basic guide, if you see here, they will be giving this, and they have given a small kernel module like a small hello world to do it's an attempt so that you write a test kernel module, and then you can insert it in the kernel running kernel space, so that this module is now becomes the same address space as your Linux kernel. So this is what it is. So you can see that it's a small example versus we have a huge entire driver itself. Okay, so you can see there the make file, if you open, see make file instructs what files to be compiled, okay, what C files to be compiled. So make file have this type of structure. Okay, this is unlike user space make file, we define some more things in the kernel, in the lowermost hierarchy like this make files. It will be quite simple, but it will be all taken care by that extensive scripts which is already there. So which means when you add any new module, you don't need to break your head how to do that. It's just you take this as a template, just put the things as it expects. Okay, you don't need to overthink. Okay, it is not like your user space application make files. Okay, so that's what is the intent. So you go here, you have this E1000 driver. You can see there the kconfig is not there. If needed, you can put the kconfig here instead over here. Okay, see in this kconfig they have elaborately described what this is. There is one option you can do that there, or you can just include a kconfig and then you can do rest inside that, so that you can find it. You can find in another example. See, let me show you. When we go to the net folder, you can see there are several folders are there, and you can scroll it down. You can see there it also contains this kconfig and make file. Okay, so if you open the kconfig, you can see there some are defined here, some labels are defined here, and if you scroll down, some are included here. Say for instance, you can see there nettls kconfig is included in this kconfig. So which means when you do make menu config, whichever is included, it will be added as some type of sub hierarchy. So you will find when you do this, say for instance we go back, that is quite easy to understand, which is why I'm showing and coming out of this drivers folder. So if you go to this networking support, the moment you press, you select that, you can see there networking options, it shows as a sub hierarchy. So this means the whole thing is included. Okay, so that's what, once you go there, once again you will find whichever is included will be shown as a part of this hierarchy. So this is what happens. So which is why these things are included over here. This is the problem. See, this is what constitutes you a kernel developer, not just learning some tuta futa kernel code. I mean some random kernel module, this thing. So if you want to become a kernel developer, you need to know these aspects very much. Okay, unfortunately you won't find this much in the books. The reason is they discuss about the programming aspect, they don't discuss about these aspects. So which is why I'm saying you need to see there. See, the same way if you come down, you have this net IPv4 kconfig is included here. So which means it's just included in this kconfig. So eventually the control goes over there. So eventually when you do make menu config, it will be supported. So you can say this kconfig is including this kconfig. The moment you click that, it should able to show the kconfig inside the net IPv4 folder. You see there it shows the net IPv4 folder and it shows all these options. So you can actually go this way. If you come down here, you should able to see the IPv4 options over here somewhere. Yeah, so some of them are coming from there. It is quite easy actually. How you can check is, for instance, we have this IP multicast. So we need to find that IP multicast is where. You can see there IP multicast routing or something, maybe not. So what you do is you go to search